Hey yo, my name's Adrian. Banana bread makes me cry tears of joy, and welcome to the video. I know I've waited forever to make this video, but I just got done with my summer job and I'm finally getting back into the swing of things. Now, the Vox transmission videos, which I'll be referring to as Voxes from this point forth, have been pretty self-explanatory. So this video is basically just speculation on the greater lore of Darktide and the antagonists, which we'll get into later. Now, make yourself at home, and let's quickly recap what we missed in episodes 3 through 6, shall we? And before we start, go check out my other two videos about the first two Voxes. We'll be answering a lot of questions posed in those videos, and we'll be asking some more at the end of this one. So, on a personal note to kick things off, Vox number 3 freaked me out the most. I'll tell you why. It really reminded me of when COVID first started to blow up, for real. In early March of 2020, the local news outlets where I live were beginning to cover this whole COVID thing that was popping up on the coast of the US, and I thought to myself, no big deal. I remember swine flu and Ebola being fairly short-lived when I was younger, so surely it'll blow over in a few weeks, right? A week later, parts of California and New York were on lockdown, hospitals were bursting at the seams, and people were either afraid, defiant, or dying. Now, sad boy hours aside, at this point in her investigation, Wormwood is hearing rumors of an unconfirmed outbreak in Tertium, and several levels of the hive have been locked down. But none of the authorities want to confirm or deny anything, likely in the interest of not spreading panic amongst the 6 to 8 billion people that live in Tertium Prime, based on Luton's numbers, which you should totally go watch his video if you haven't already. Now, Wormwood has been asking very nicely for Morningstar to answer her calls because it's been 12 weeks since their first date and she's afraid that he's ghosting her and has completely lost interest. And of course, now we know that Morningstar is not a person but is actually a ship, which will be used as our base of operations and social hub in Darktide. I hope we hear more about it soon because I'm so freaking excited, man. We also hear a regiment of troops receiving new orders and mobilizing to what we can safely assume is the Hive. And if you haven't read the latest dev blog, do yourself a favor because it's a great read. And in this blog, Dan Abnett writes about our antagonists, the Mobian 6th Regiment, and how they were pulled away from the front lines of the Fringe War to help with the situation on Atoma Prime. It also spoils some other details, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Episode 3 wraps up with Wormwood talking to a nurse about how the plague doesn't respond to normal medical treatment and how it could be influenced by the warp. I wonder what that means. Now, Vox number 4 begins with a comforting confirmation that the plague is indeed getting worse, and the Mobian 6th have been deployed to help with the quarantine effort. And that's about it. That's literally the whole video. It's a short one. It's not too bad. Vox number 5 is where Fat Shark really gets the party started. We're immediately introduced to a new player in the game. Let me introduce you.
Praise the darkness and the notch, a new beginning born of old fears. And you hear the voice of truth, the giver of blessings untold, and the Lord. By the rod, and the way, and the 3 low die, by pestilence unbound, and an eternity.
Is he a demon? Is he a champion of chaos? Is he affiliated with the Death Guard? Is he a corrupted leader of the Mobian 6th? I suppose only time will tell. But regardless, I would assume that this particular character is our main antagonist, the brains behind the whole operation, and potentially who arranged for the Mobian 6th to be brought back to Atoma Prime, maybe for the sake of becoming corrupted by chaos after a traumatizing campaign in the Fringe War. That would make sense to me. And I could honestly see it all panning out a lot like Dawn of War 1 did.
Sacrifice? What sacrifice?
This planet was an altar, human, to the blood god, Korn. Sindri arranged the Orc invasion, knowing space streets would come to end their threat. Every death was a sacrifice toward my release. And I must say, your contributions were many and magnificent. Isidore, Bale, and finally, Silvery himself. Without so many offerings, I would have remained trapped. I thank you. I will spare your life for now.
So I can see it being very similar to that. Throughout this episode, we hear troops confirming kills, and that makes me feel like people are either already turning into poxwalkers and Wormwood is just super unaware of the full scale of what's happened so far, or there was an order to kill everyone already. Now, Vox number 6 answers that for us, as we can hear the troops confirming orders to kill everyone in the hive. Wormwood is now running for her life, and nobody has any means of defending themselves, in an effective way at least, from the Mobian 6th, and all seems bleak. You gotta love 40k, am I right? I am personally beyond surprised that Wormwood has lasted this long, and I can't imagine she'll live for much longer, assuming two things. One, that the Vox series will end as soon as Darktide is released, and two, that Wormwood will die or fall to chaos before the end of the series, like I still think she will. I think that she's gonna die, and only after that, only after she dies, will Morningstar answer, and the beta will get announced, or the game will release immediately after. To me, that would be a perfect beta announcement trailer, but maybe that's just me. Finally, now that we've covered all the episodes so far, I have a few questions I'd like answered from this. If the Fringe War is Atoma's primary concern, why did they get pulled from the front line to help with a simple quarantine? Who's giving out those orders? 2. Does our Inquisitor in question have anything to do with all this? 3. What impact did the cults mentioned in Vox number 2 have on the Hive before the Mobian 6 even arrived? Number 4, which kind of bleeds into number 3, what role does our Nurgly friend play in all this conflict? And number 5, last but not least, how much longer will it take for the Morningstar to arrive? Now, I'm taking bets. However, I'll put $5 down. I don't think everybody's going to survive for another 2 weeks. And that's all I have for you guys. What do you think will happen to Wormwood next? Let me know in the comments. And as always, remember, life is hard, so be kind. I'll catch y'all later.